We have the maps ready for you, so we'll bring up the map veto for you. There we go. And Immortals will be starting on attack. The last time these two teams quarreled, also Week 5, every single matchup, a repeat of Week 5, was on Border. It was a 6-6 draw. We're going to go to Clubhouse, though, and INTZ will be starting on defense. We speculated that this meta was shaping up to be more attacker-favored, but actually, over the last week or so, the defense have been doing pretty well.
So far for today, we have 4 total attack rounds won. Let's see what the community vote is and who you think will win this. Is that a surprise? No, it is not. 76 in favor of Immortals.
Unsurprising. The team that has not yet gotten a loss, you're not going to vote for them to get a loss. Now, statistically, it's likely that they're going to get a loss by the end of the season, but who is it going to come at the hands of? Mantis, or, well, now known as Cloud9, finished their season. They technically finished it as Mantis, but they're now Cloud9, heading into the APAC LAN. That's actually happening this weekend, by the way. They went undefeated in Korea. But when you look at this matchup between INTZ and Immortals, do we think that we're going to see Immortals finish out the season undefeated? I don't know. We're ready to load into Clubhouse and get our second match of the day started between these two teams.
I've never been to an APAC LAN. I really want to go to one. I've always wanted to.
Have you seen the brackets for the APAC LAN? They're this one in particular, it's absolutely bananas. You've got Fnatic, Cyclops, and C9 in the same bracket. Those three teams will be fighting for one spot. In the top, you've got Orglis, you've got Aerowolf, and you've got Norarengo. But Aerowolf does appear to have taken a step back, or sorry, Xavier instead of Aerowolf. You have Xavier up top. It's going to be absolutely insane.
You know, I've been to every single season final and every single major in Siege, but I've never been to an APAC LAN, and I always wanted to go to one. I'll look forward to the day that I eventually can. We've got Mav, Ying, and Mira off the board, and it's going to be Echo for the very last one here. So that's going to leave Maestro as the main defense denial. Still in play. Clubhouse, he can be useful. There's actually really good spots, especially on, for example, Cash. He could be useful on Jim. I mean, he's just generally useful anywhere. I don't know why I'm even bringing that up. We're going to be going to, looks like, basement first for INTZ. And an interesting lineup here. We'll be playing, looks like, pretty aggressive. That's curious that they're going to bring a Castle. Maybe a 6-pick potential there, but no, it's going to be from the Valkyrie onto the Maestro. Castle. So maybe some roamers upstairs. We have seen Castle top floor on a basement Clubhouse defense to delay and, well, allow for easier holds up on the top. It's not a very common strategy, though.
One thing that you want to look at in terms of the operator bans this time is that when these two teams first fought, 3 of these 4 operators were banned out. The only difference is that instead of a Glaz ban, it's a Maverick ban. That's it.
Look at that.
It was actually INTZ who banned Ying and Echo. Immortals banned Ying this time. INTZ banned Echo. Immortals had banned out the Glaz. So INTZ, with the Ying being off the table, INTZ went with their very first ban, actually, which was on the Maverick. So Glaz does not necessarily see a ton of play on Clubhouse, not like he used to. You look back on the days before the rework where Glaz would just push blue all the way down. Very notable memories of the way that Necrox used to play that, and every time you'd also see possibly Slash in North America do it. In Ninjas in Pajamas, you'd see Psycho do it.
A lot of Blackbeards doing that very same thing, just pushing down the one blue tunnel that you could access. And then you would also have Glaz coming in through Dirt Tunnel, or that you would switch it up. Blackbeard coming in Dirt Tunnel and Glaz coming in blue. That was, it takes me back a long time ago. The rework to Clubhouse was, I think, very welcome, and for a lot of teams, a lot of players that made this map quite a lot more enjoyable to play.
Extremely defender-sided in terms of its percentage. In fact, the most defender-sided map for a period of time. But also, the theory behind that is that's what tends to happen with the new maps. Look at Villa, for example. Villa also extremely defender-sided. It takes time for teams to be able to work through whether or not you're going to be able to pull off your attack successfully. Once everything is settled in regards to the way that you attack it, the way that you defend it, the meta on the map itself settles, then you can begin to speculate, oh, this map, or at that point your speculation ends and you can say with some confidence, oh, this is actually just a defender-sided map, and it isn't that there's some newness behind it, you're still trying to figure out how to attack it.
I mean, we always say how it takes more synergy, more coordination, and more strategy to conduct an attack. It's not as easy as setting up for a defense. A lot of what defense is waiting and setting up little things like this C4 on the bottom of main stairs to try and get an edge when the inevitable push comes, having that man advantage as a defensive team can be all that you really need to get the win. On the attacking side, there's so many more layers. You have to peel away at the defense. And it takes time, and like I said, coordination. That's why you said you got to have a little bit of time for these newer maps to, well, be worked out by the attacking team before they start having any success. So Immortals doing their best to deny the impact tricking. They're going to fail. And that's one one set of Excaros gone. Great job there to the smoke, making that happen. And here comes an exothermic charge. The nade was poorly timed there from Bullet. And the exothermic charge might just be caught. And yes, indeed, that's a second for Intact. Great use of the impacts. So much hard destruction just denied by INTZ. Now Immortals find themselves in a tricky spot.
That was a great play by INTZ there, and might have actually saved most of the round for their team. First opening kill is going to be in the hands of INTZ as they take out Cyber. A C4 gets tossed from Uke inside of Church. He'll find its target.
INTZ are looking really good at the start of this round. I mean, they've managed to deny the hard destruction on the Arsenal drop, and now, with the first frag, they only have to wait for 30 seconds. Drunks was down, but he has been picked back up by Uke, and it's going to be INTZ still in full force as Boar eliminates PX. There's only 3 Immortals players still alive, and it's going to be Duds and Blue to get another kill for INTZ. It's looking like potentially a perfect round, as we've just got Navi's and Bullet in a 2 versus 5. Navi's downed, finished off by Uke. Just Bullet, the bottom of main stairs, no time to make this happen, and he won't even get a kill. A perfect defense from INTZ, not dropping a soul. And wow, that is unfortunate for Immortals. Not being able to get that Arsenal drop was huge, and then following that up with a pretty lackluster rotation.
Just really did not look like they knew what they wanted to do after that. We say in many broadcasts, and we have a lot of time spent praising the various members of a team who don't necessarily get all the kills. And that's okay. You don't have to do it as much in Rainbow Six as you do in other FPS titles and other esports. Sometimes your contributions are simply being good at callouts. Sometimes being able to drone in somebody who capitalizes on 3 kills, all because of the information you feed them. But in that round in particular, for Intact to be able to play under that hatch that way, it basically starved Immortals of a utility and forced Immortals to have to commit to another take that they likely hadn't practiced. And because of that, INTZ was ready for them. And as you noted, 0 kills for Immortals, really showing how much that singular destruction of the exothermic charge and the Excaros on the hatch and kitchen really gummed up the gears for Immortals.
So we'll be going to Cash next. This is pretty standard rotation so far for INTZ. Intact is using the magical skin for Smoke.
Rainbow is magic, Michael.
Mm-hmm. Looks like he's also setting up to impact trick. So we've seen this before, though I guess it's difficult. Maybe trying to impact trick the garage panels. I don't know if he's actually going to commit to it, but he set it up so that you can impact trick those panels.
I'm curious if he's carrying those impacts, if it's just a holdover from the previous match, or from the previous round, because he did have them. He might not have switched off, but no, he was putting up barbed wire, wasn't he?
It could also be Boar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Boar to play for the impact tricking. Again, this is something you don't see every day. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Drunks to protect Boar, who will be playing this position, so he can deny the garage panels. It's a lot of teams consider this over-investment in an unnecessary hold, but not so for INTZ.
I mean, here's the big difference maker. When a Maverick is banned, you can't easily take out that cache wall, right? Or that CCTV wall. Uke has been downed early on, trying to impact trick, likely felled by the exothermic charge.
It looks like the Thermite is rotating now. Uke didn't get finished off. That's huge. It looks like the Thermite is rotating over to these garage panels, and this is where Boar impact tricking is going to be amazingly important if he lands it. He doesn't, though. A well-placed Thermite charge there from M-King. You got to hand it to him, and Boar will have to rotate to Oil Pit.
So much better round in terms of hard destruction for Immortals than we saw in round number 1 when they tried to attack the basement. I was going to mention very quickly, the way that you play with a Maverick is that you'll cut off the top and the bottom of most of the walls, and then the barricade falls away. You've got the ability to soft destruct your way into the site. It makes holding a much more difficult predicament. And speaking of predicaments, Drunks being able to get away from the rafters. Beautifully placed asphyxiating bolt that will catch all of the HP of the Maestro. Cyber will get kill number 1. It's going to be kill number 2 now for Immortals, as Boar is not able to make it out of Oil Pit. And things going from bad to worse on INTZ. Keep in mind, with Yuke being injured earlier on, not all members of INTZ will be fighting fit. They'll be down yet another body. Intact, who is arguably the hero of round number 1, no more for the remainder of this round. 1 minute to play with for Immortals. It's a 5v2. Hard to imagine that Immortals will somehow manage to muck this one up with what little was left of Yuke falling off the board. You got a 1v5 situation with a Jaeger, no utility, no throwable. He's going to have to hold off inside of Cash. He's getting some pings from an Evil Eye, but they won't do much. Them 249 in the hands of Cyber will be unbeatable. And it's a flawless round from Immortals to answer INTZ's flawless round in the round previous.
Not only a flawless round, but I don't think the Jaeger hit a bullet there at the end, at that final engagement. And since he didn't hit a bullet, there was not a single point of damage done onto the attackers. The defense didn't accomplish anything in terms of scratching their opponents, assuming the Jaeger didn't hit a shot there. Didn't quite see it as clearly as I wish I could have, but it seemed he did not. Either which way, really impressive attack there from Immortals. And as you said, a great answer back to INTZ's initial perfect round on the basement. So we have ourselves a ball game, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be going to Gym for this third site. It's not having much luck on Cash. The way that Immortals picked apart the defense there was pretty excellent. The exothermic charges both being successfully detonated without any real serious contention from INTZ is huge. We talked about that already. The hard destruction from M-King was perfect. Following that up, we saw the asphyxiating bolts go on to Drunks, who was sitting inside of Rafters, the Maestro. As soon as he was gone, it was pretty much full control of Garage in favor of Immortals.
I really wish we could have seen Boar's full round from his perspective, because once Garage was conceded by INTZ, at least on the bottom floor, you had the Maestro still upstairs on Rafters, but we saw Boar drop down Blue, Oil Pit, and head for the rest of Blue. Yet, he was killed once again trying to escape Oil Pit, so he must have re-emerged at some point, possibly to take the ladder back up. But that seems extremely foolish, given the fact that you know that Garage is open, and there's likely going to be some kind of contest inside a Garage. There's no way the attackers relinquish control after opening up one of those panels.
I have to imagine his plan was, hey, maybe I can try and fight the Garage stairs. Because you can do that from Oil Pit, and it can be helpful for your team. But he didn't commit fully to it, and because he had kind of a little half-hearted attempt at retaking Oil Pit, he ended up costing his team 1 man.
And an unfortunate situation that Boar found himself in. As you mentioned, wasn't even able to do too much with it. Drunks was going to actively bandit trick with a shield in place. Yuke was not as successful last round. You're going to task Drunks with being able to do this effectively. Bigger problem being that the shield that is placed will deny the ability for Drunks to be able to set a bandit charge down conveniently. Doesn't look like there'll be much active bandit tricking, as there goes the asphyxiating bolt. Drunks is pushed off. That's an awful lot of utility that was just set up to waste 1 minute and 20 seconds, because that's all you really accomplished. At the same time, you did at least bleed through some utility from the attackers as well. One of those 2 asphyxiating bolts was used to successfully grab the wall, in which will allow you to just walk right in and attack the bathroom wall.
I mean, it's been systematic so far from Immortals. They haven't really made any trips. Everything is falling into place. All of the Immortals players are executing their roles. It's the same thing we saw in the last round. Beautiful execution, just nothing especially stand out. INTZ are going to get the first kill, though. As Boar takes out M-King, who has already done his job, it's going to give the man advantage to the defense. Frag Grenade answers back, but no kill there for Immortals. Well placed from Bullet all the same, though. He did do some damage. Yuke will get the first kill for himself, and the second for his team. As Immortals starts losing manpower, they are going to have to get some answers in return if they want to keep themselves in this round.
This is once again a lot of utility being used for Immortals just trying to get in through this jacuzzi wall. They'll find themselves losing the Capitao and will be even greater starved of said utility. So they're playing around the Gym, but it won't work out at all as Duds cuts down Bullet. PX finally getting the kill that is needed for his team, but he's got a very difficult task. It won't be a perfect round for INTZ this time, but it will be another victory. The pendulum will now swing back in INTZ's favor. Church and Jim now both going in favor of INTZ. And because of the timing, with round number 4, INTZ have an opportunity to go back down to their very first site, a site where you expect the defense to win more often than not, almost single-handedly won by that smoke, playing underneath the kitchen hatch on that first round. Will be another opportunity for INTZ to take a round and possibly stretch their lead even farther.
Immortals proving in that round to linger is to languish, as they, well, set themselves up perfectly, but just couldn't execute onto the site. And because INTZ were aware of where the attack was coming from, they used the abundance of time that Immortals was giving to the defense to open up some frags to do just that. So great job to INTZ, using all the opportunities presented to them. I love that run out there from the strip club. Don't see that used every day, and it is especially useful when played correctly. That's on board. Good job to him. So not a perfect round, as you said, but we have seen nothing but one-sided affairs so far throughout this match. As we transition to the bottom floor once more, the last time we were here, it was in fact a perfect round for INTZ, and if that continues, we'll see a 3-1 scoreline. The attack from Immortals struggled here last time, and why? Because the hard destruction was unable to open up the arsenal or armory drop-down. That was because of the excellent impact tricking from Intact. This time around, it's likely to see something slightly different from Immortals. You can expect them to at least invest one more piece of utility in opening up that drop-down if it's so crucial to their attack, or just a simple strategy change. But will that be enough to get them the round win? I'm not so sure.
What it appeared that Immortals was doing is actually something that not a lot of teams have tried to do to push off an impact trick on that kitchen hatch. After the exothermic charge started to go off, we saw the buck of Bullet position himself to possibly drop a frag grenade down on top and not just deny that impact from destroying your exothermic charge, but also kill the person on the other side of it. It was a bit mistimed from Bullet. It also appeared that in round number 1, that frag grenade got caught in the floor that wasn't fully opened up. I would imagine that we're probably going to see something similar from Immortals this time. It might cause some concern for INTZ if Intact isn't able to successfully impact trick. Somewhere off screen, Duds has taken quite a beating. Very low on HP now, over by Blue, where he'll sit behind the generator. Just wait patiently. There's a lot of punch holes on either side of him that might be able to distract an attacker long enough for Duds to be able to claim a kill. There's no rotate. So if Duds does get pressured, he doesn't have a safe avenue back in towards Church. He'll rely on Uke to possibly trade it off as the Bandit is lying prone behind his teammate on INTZ. There goes an exothermic charge. Lots of hard destruction on Immortal's side. You don't necessarily need to worry too much about opening up these hatches when you've got a Hibana and Thermite on your side.
Pretty typical attack on the basement so far. Slow, but setting up all these angles to try and get a pick or two when going for that actual site take. Immortals haven't managed to accomplish that yet, but as you said, Duds early on taking some damage, so there is a little bit of bruising inflicted here. C4 is still set up here from Uke, and he's going to go for it. It will land. There goes PX. Well placed. It's one of the hard destructors, though Hibana has almost certainly done his job already. M-King setting up for a church wall. Open up, and it's going to be Navis with the EMPs to assist in that endeavor. There's a lot of potential here for a bandit trick from Uke if he's got enough bandit batteries. What an entry from Navis, but he'll be refragged by Drunks. Great job there to the Maestro for holding on to Arsenal. You can see it's still concerted effort, though, on Arsenal take.
And INTZ is just waiting. We'll be able to easily gun down every member of Immortals as they get into the site. Down will go one body. The Bandit being able to outduel anything that comes from the hard destruction. Another will fall too. And you can hear the telltale rattling. Oh, what a play and a great snap from Cyber as he collects 2 from INTZ. Looking to possibly do more. He's got tons of bullets at his disposal. Worry about being under watch from an Evil Eye. He'll have to go back and go for a successful defuse, but with the clock hitting 6 seconds, he'll be extremely vulnerable. And the time for INTZ to be able to push is now. But it looks like they'll set up for a post plan as Cyber is able to get the diffuser off successfully. He's got 2 kills. Will he be able to find the next to possibly put the round away? Oh. No! Uke will bail out his team as Cyber had collected the down onto Drunks, and with a tiny portion of health, Uke will save the day for INTZ. Another round will go in their favor, and Immortals almost surviving that round. What a scene. What a play.
absolute heartbreak there at the end for Immortals. It doesn't get worse than that. Such an excellent effort, but it just wasn't enough. Great entry into Arsenal, but the initial frags early on for INTZ were too much for Cyber to surmount in the end. And, you know, individual efforts aside, that was a well-played round by INTZ. Their coordination was impeccable, especially at the end in that clutch. They were able to deny it, although just barely. Now, the problem there was that Immortals went for an Arsenal take and INTZ was ready. They had the appropriate murder holes opened up so they could play Arsenal from inside of church. The Maestro, easy angle there for Drunks. I mean, just one frag after another playing on that angle. Not to mention, once Immortals had any semblance of Arsenal control, they didn't really accomplish much with it. The plant never went down. I mean, it did eventually in the end, of course. But on the initial take, it didn't go down, and there was never any cover. It didn't really feel like at any point Immortals was punching back at all of the attrition they were suffering when going for a take into Arsenal. So, I don't know. It just seemed like INTZ was in full control for the entire round until we came down to that 1v1.
Cyber should not have won that fight.
Of course.
At all, either onto the Jaeger of Duds. That should have been a very easy kill for the 416 in the hands of Duds, and he just got snapped on. And it's very difficult, the way that the game plays out, to be able to come back from that. Mind you, Duds was only one shot, so it doesn't matter where that M249 in the hands of the Capitao hits.
Is it an unreinforced cash wall? I think that's an unreinforced cash wall. Or sorry, server wall. Pardon me.
Interesting reason for that.
I'm guessing to counter the thermite?
Immortals does have a sledge.
Uh-huh. So
keep in mind that if there was no sledge or buck on the board, outside of, well, I mean, as Zofia or Ash could open it as well, but if you're relying on possibly X-Kairos or an exothermic charge, you can shoot those through a soft wall.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, if Immortals only had hard destruction, then that would have been a really great choice from INTZ, but there's the sledge already opening up the wall. Yuke went for a frag, knowing that wall had been opened up, knowing it was by a sledge, but he could not get it.
It's an interesting gambit, and I mean, you've got a mobile reinforcement in Boar as your clash. Off of the castle for the very first time this game, we applied his support plays a little bit differently. Not going to have him dying down an oil pit trying to escape the fire of the attackers. You've got Drunks up top, though, still watching in a very common spot for an ACOG to play in. You've also had Jaegers play in that spot. But on top of the rafters, pretty commonplace for your Maestro to be up there.
Got the firebolts from the Capitao going to be such an important tool in taking care of that Maestro. They're waiting to know where he is. Cyber has to have one of his teammates drone for him so he can then push out that firebolt. But it's going to be Cyber droning himself right this minute. I'm assuming he's just going to wait for the opportune moment. Here he goes, and he'll miss the first bolt. Second bolt will land and do no damage. Must have hit the wrong side of the rail. Bullet will take down Drunks, though, so good coordination there, at least between Bullet and Cyber. That's going to allow for garage control. Ooh, a little bit of damage being inflicted through that drone hole. That's a good opportunity seized there from M-King.
This is also a lot of time that's been eaten up now for INTZ, and I don't know if Immortals were anticipating this exact style of play. You got 3 toxic canisters from INTZ that can start to go down, in which they will, and a clash still on the board in the final 30 seconds will always prove to be difficult, especially when you don't have any utility left to be able to deal with her. Cyber's asphyxiating bolts are gone, which means it's just going to be a straight-up fist fight. But still, despite this, Bullet walks right in. The L85 is being put to good use. Immortals picks up 2 more kills to continue to extend this lead, and all the utility in the world can't seem to stop INTZ from being able to fall just short. 10 seconds, and you wouldn't know it, as Boar will now wade up as close as he can. Yuke down below, he's getting the marks. He can stop it in its tracks, and he will. There'll need to be a course correction, but Yuke is downstairs, and somebody else from Immortals will go try to get the plant down. The Capitao has his back turned to Yuke, but that's why you got teammates, and you fight for a draw or a trade. With such a great numbers advantage, that's an easy closeout for Immortals. They'll be able to close the gap as well on the scoreline. INTZ will still lead heading into their very final defense. It's 3-2 in their favor. They've got Church locked up. They can go back to Cash, or they can pin their hopes back on Gym, where they were successful the first time.
Yeah, so far cash has been the only unsuccessful site for INTZ, and it seems to be the case that if INTZ had just not gone to cash there, they might be in a 4-1 situation. Definitely a bad call. In hindsight, it's 2020, but there it is. That round mostly to me comes down to the excellent gunplay from Bullet. His initial kill there in Garage was absolutely massive. He followed that up with even more. 3 for him, I think, in that round total. Getting those opportune picks came thanks to his teammates opening up the, opportunities. That firebolt from the Capitao of Cyber, while it did miss the actual opponent, forced that opponent to move. Once Drunks had been forced to move, he was exposed to Bullet, and then you got the frag. That's Garage control in hand. Once the attack had Garage control, they also had cache open. Why did they have cache open? Because it was a reinforce, and there was a sledge. Soon as they had that crossfire, a simple push in through cache, and I don't know, INTZ just starts losing one man after another. It's like INTZ just can't win gunfights on cache. It's really just seemed that way.
The strategy seemed decently sound, especially with the way that Boar was playing all the way back on red stairs. He could have possibly pushed up and been a bit more aggressive. Keep in mind that with Immortals lineup, outside of an EMP, there was nothing left from Immortals that possibly could have taken the Clash down because their asphyxiating bolts were gone, frag grenades were gone, you don't have a Zofia on the board, you don't have a Buck, you don't have to worry about any of that disruption, there's no Nomad. Actually a startling lack of Nomad. Banned in the very first game, unbanned for match 2, haven't seen her yet. That might change when INTZ goes on attack.
And it's possible it's just because of how necessary the hard structures are here. You got Maverick banned out. You're going to bring a Haban and Thermite every round, so...
Likely bring a Thatcher as well, because you've got a lot of long walls in which you were likely going to have to deal with either a Mute or a Bandit on the board, and there's been one consistently for INTZ every time. So it does really limit the extra utility, as you noted. You likely want to have a set of smokes. Nomad doesn't have access to smokes, so what do you go with? You get Capitao, Dokkaebi, Jackal, etc.
Yeah. So limited options here on Clubhouse. That's just as it is. Now, Immortals have not been able to win an attack onto Jim. Well, as we stated earlier.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Cyber's down. That's not good. Lots of utility. He hasn't used any of his bolts.
The only gun sounds I heard were his, which I think is very interesting. It was likely Yuke, the culprit.
Suppressor, maybe? Can't quite tell.
But, I mean... Cyber is down, and they'll be able to pick him back up. That's a major victory for INTZ. Now, we started this broadcast by saying, here are the scenarios in which Immortals can clinch. If they lose this game, then obviously they don't clinch. It all relies on them winning. But INTZ put up one hell of a fight thus far. Simply waiting for an impact trick onto the exothermic charge. That's easy, and Bullet knew it was coming. I'm actually kind of surprised. I think he was didn't want to risk Alibi grenading the door and then just bursting out like a bat out of hell.
But there was an ADS there. The nade will finally go in. It is going to do no damage, actually, and the impact comes out. The second nade doesn't do any damage either. The wall will be opened up. The impact tricking unsuccessful. Castle barricade broken. Duds is retaining his position. It doesn't seem the attack is aware of this. This could be some easy frags here. Duds going to get one, but can't get a second as Bull gets the refrag.
It was a big brain play.
It was a big brain play, yes indeed. Boar gets one from below. Bull goes down thanks to excellent angle that was not pre-established, but seemed to have been opened up by the exothermic charge there.
You have to get off his control at some point, and what is a round that has seemed very slow is now at 20 seconds left. Yuke is going to be able to get an easy kill onto Cyber as he walks right into his crosshair. Navi's is next in the line of fire. He'll contest that bathroom. That F2 cannot be slowed down, but Yuke is unshakable, and he cannot be moved whatsoever. He has looked mighty fine through this entire matchup. Doesn't matter where he's playing at, but good reads, and INTZ will take the first half 4-2. We're not in a situation, at least we haven't been over the last 4 weeks, and we have to wait for things to settle down a little bit, for us to say, yeah, that stands to reason for Clubhouse. Not with the way that a lot of teams have been playing Club recently. Attackers have been winning quite an awful lot. Some of it being because Maverick is not being banned out, and Maverick makes the attacker's success rate on Clubhouse much higher.
I mean, so far through today, we've only seen attack halves with 2 wins. That's for both matches. Every single team has been getting 2 attack round victories. So
here's the good news.
Small thing.
For Liquid fans. You might be bummed out after that very first matchup. If I was cheering for Liquid, I probably would be too.
The gold aw there.
But your big victory is that INTZ is now only 2 rounds away from denying Immortals the full 3 points.
It's true. It's true.
Even if Immortals gets 1 point, they're still only 4 points ahead of you as Liquid. I mean, with Liquid having Red Devils next week, it's possible that you can begin to close that gap, but I mean, it becomes tough at that point.
Well, we talked about it earlier. I mean, Latin America is a very close region right now.
And Immortals needs these points because they have Black Dragons and FaZe up next.
No.
If you look at Immortals against FaZe, they lost their first matchup against FaZe. The only time they played each other this season, they lost 3-7.
If Immortals loses here, I mean, and FaZe wins against BD, which might not happen, but who knows? If FaZe wins, Immortals loses, FaZe will take first place.
That is correct.
Well, 24 points, that'll leave Immortals still at 23.
FaZe currently does have the tiebreaker, so if Immortals gets 1 point, since it's 24 points, and FaZe wins their matchup, both teams will be tied at 24 points, but the advantage will go in favor of FaZe. Keep in mind that the tiebreaker was 1 match that was played in which, as I noted, FaZe won 7-3.
Against Immortals. They haven't... Have they lost? Immortals have lost? I'm confused.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Immortals haven't lost.
FaZe, then.
Yeah, no.
Must have the numbers backwards.
Yeah, I think Immortals will hold the tiebreaker, right? Oh, well, we're not sure who holds the tiebreaker, but what we do know is that Immortals hasn't lost, so it certainly can't be FaZe. But yes, if Immortals draws here and FaZe wins in their match,
I have my numbers wrong.
Then both teams will have 24 points, and Immortals should hold the tiebreaker. Should. But anyway.
I did this for North America as well. I had the SSG EG backwards, just because of the way that sometimes when you're trying to run through it really quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't do it correctly. Anyway, here it looks like it's going to be a Kaid trick, but no! PX is not going to be successful on this Church defense. We're a minute and a bit into this round now, so about the halfway mark. And Immortals now have possibly the opportunity to close this gap up with a defensive stint. Now, this defense on Clubhouse should be better than your attack, so there's a higher likelihood that Immortals will be able to win more than 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Though I will say that it's not necessarily been the defense winning out, but Immortals' attacks on certain sites not really being that strong. And were it not for the 2 cash defenses from INTZ, this could be a very different story. Those cash defenses from INTZ were quite weak.
They certainly were, and seemingly INTZ's only exposure on that whole defensive half. Immortals, though, on their defensive half so far have been doing well. Of course, we're only 2 minutes into said half. But all the same, they haven't lost a single player on this cash defense just yet. Ooh, poor placement on the Kaid, and he's going to go down to the grenade, which will also open up that church wall. Church wall probably would have been opened up either way, but now there is no PX to hold on to that entry that now is available to Immortals. Good amount of time here, or rather INTZ, pardon me. Good amount of time here for INTZ to execute, and with the 1 down Immortals player, the Glass is going to be a huge tool on this entry.
There's 2 kills for INTZ. They're just going to walk right into the site like they own the place. Another will be added to their tally, and very quickly, Immortals have seen their numbers diminish. A real retake value as Duds is going to be able to pick up kill number 3 in the round, leaving Bullet with the only hope of stopping this INTZ play. He's going to have the time working against him as well. He's not going to get anywhere. It's a perfect round for INTZ, and they are 1 round closer to being able to put at least a single point on the board.
You know, I know that we saw a 1 perfect round from Immortals, and then I believe near perfect round again, the second time Immortals attacked onto cash, right? 2 really good attacks on cash from Immortals in the first half. But that has to be the best attack round we've seen through this whole match so far. That execution was near flawless. The coordination on taking blue and Moto was perfect. The Glaz entered as soon as Zofia started pushing in from Oil Pit. Once Zofia got into blue, also got the frag, that's full control. That's any denial that Glaz had to worry about out the door. As soon as Glaz gets the player in church, then he's just holding onto the doorway in the hall. And the coordination there, again, perfect. They get the wall open. They still have a player to cut off rotation at the bottom of the main stairs. There was no way that Immortals was going to bounce back in that round. It just was not going to happen. That is the most textbook attack onto the basement of Clubhouse I have seen in ages.
PX was that very first domino as well. Once he was out of the equation, both Electro Claws not helping at all. We saw the very first one go onto that Moto hatch. It gets taken out by an EMP. have to go to the judges for an instant replay to see if it would have been able to get the exothermic charge without an EMP, but the EMP was able to take care of it first, so it doesn't really matter, but...
Would have been close.
That is correct.
The exothermic charge does detonate faster than your X-Carol, so it's just a little bit, but it does.
It's just there.
It can beat the Cade, or the Kaid, pardon me.
That's what the people who play this game call him.
Yes.
Because it looks like Cade.
Mm-hmm. It's spelled Cade, pronounced Kaid.
Or Kaed, if you're Milosh.
Yeah, Kaed.
Yeah.
I actually like saying it that way. It's fun. It's, you know, it's got a little punch to it.
Oh, very possible early encounter between Yuke and Navi's, and if Navi's had impacts on his kid, he does not. He has a bulletproof camera. He could have possibly been able to capitalize.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, does he have an impact? Oh, no, he doesn't.
He has a bulletproof camera, which he is yet to place down, which, given the way that the castle was playing in the bottom floor, seems a bit of a suspect choice.
Maybe a mistake. It does happen.
Could have been a mistake. It really depends on how Navi's was playing the castle before.
Yeah.
You see one garage panel, though, get surrendered from Immortals. They're not being an active force to be able to keep the attackers out. You've got Bullet, likely Bandit, tricking the wall upstairs on CCTV, but as for that, he's not going to bother to bandit any of the downstairs walls. You also see that there are two of those garage panels which are soft. It would have possibly been an easier entry. And I think there's a buck on the board for Drunks. I'm actually kind of interested as to why they decided to take that panel instead of the farther panel. The farther panel does tend to give you a good line of sight up to the window. It's very similar to where you're going to see Cyber playing, or at least very close to. Ooh. Great bandit trick there from Bullet, being able to take out the other exothermic charge, which means that there will be no more hard destruction on the Thermite side, and with no secondary hard breacher for INTZ, Immortals may have just won themselves the round.
Yeah, this just became Mount Everest here for INTZ to climb, and it doesn't seem that they have the right climbing equipment to make this happen. They have opened up the garage, but you see two players on Catwalk from Immortals, and they have both of the entry points locked down. Navi is also there to support from below. This is really going to be a difficult task. Again, for INTZ, they don't really have anything going for them. They're not even trying to get anything going in their way. Though, Capital will make his way in. Sees the spray from M-King. A lot of missed shots here from the Maestro. Trying to find the angle, and he will. Very tight one onto Yuke's head. But the shot is landed, and Immortals now get the man advantage.
You're just going to have to go for a full fight inside a garage, and Immortals will just bat you back every single way. There's nobody slowing them down for the time being. They're finding all their intended targets. We've seen 3 flawless rounds so far this game, and unless we see a miracle from Intact, who now discovers there's a castle barricade inside of stock and will have to rotate on around himself, this might be another one in the check, or another check mark in the column of the flawless rounds. This will be another body added to the pile. Ooh. Looking at garage, but for the time being, Cyber will look away, and it'll be M-King there, but Cyber turns back around, a beautiful pivot, and Immortals will find themselves with a flawless round of their own. Most importantly, that round for Immortals allows them to take a bit of a deeper breath, maybe catch their breath to a certain extent, as INTZ are still knocking on the door of that pivotal 6th round, which would secure them 1 point and deny Immortals a victory. That, given the situation at the top of the standings in Latin America, Immortals could desperately use.
Okay, so that round completely fell apart from INTZ, starting when they couldn't open up the server wall. That is a clutch and a half there from Bullet, managing to bandit trick that exothermic charge. However, even if the wall had been opened up, it didn't seem like INTZ really had the bite or the stride in their step to make that round happen, even if they had gotten the wall. And here's what I mean by that. INTZ was way too preoccupied with garage control, and their strat still would have incorporated garage control even if the wall had been opened up in all likelihood, and yet they really struggled with getting garage. If the wall had been opened up, I don't think it would have made their garage take any easier. Yes, you have the extra added angle from that balcony into the garage catwalk, but the way that we saw Immortals defend garage, I am very confident they would have been able to hold on to it for the entire round. That would have left a really bad entry for INTZ coming in through the cache, or rather the server wall. And I mean, you're walking into a crossfire there. They still would have had to adjust, and Immortals still would have been able to hold on to that round. It just seems like cache is Immortals' zone, which is the opposite of what we were seeing from INTZ in the first half. Now the question is, will Immortals have a second site? Because the basement was not good to Immortals. How is Jim going to be? That's the new question. That's what's going to determine the outlook here for Clubhouse.
This is the site that you expect, at least over the past couple seasons, teams to lose.
Yeah. I mean, expectations can be faulty.
Right, but INTZ flourished on it. And also those statistics are a little misleading because that also includes the time where the top of the wall could be impact tricked, so teams would be forced to go through construction, and then you wouldn't fight Jacuzzi as much. The defenders have been given quite a boost, actually. But actually a little bit of a loss with the impact trick going off, but there you have it.
It is what it is. It's done now. Bullet's going to try and bandit trick again.
Keep in mind, if there's a Capitao on the board, you can flush the bandit off. There isn't for INTZ. That's exactly what happened with Immortal, or that exactly what happened with INTZ when they were defending this site. If you recall, you saw, I believe it was Duds trying to impact or trying to bandit trick on defense.
Was that
completely flummoxing INTZ for the time being, though? I
think that might have been all 3 EMPs. Yes, indeed, it was all 3 EMPs because that we just saw both bandit batteries being placed down. That means the bandit is aware there's no EMPs in play. Now Boar has to rely on Drunks going for a grenade all the way from the B window. Now he might have landed the nade. We can't tell yet. Yes, he landed the nade there. You could tell Boar going to detonate the exothermic charge. So good job there to Drunks to recover that. But that was still a lot of time wasted, and a good job to Bullet.
Now, usually the rhythm on this site is that if that wall gets opened early, your next step is to clear out Jim and attack what is likely a very aggressive hold in bathroom. Right now, Bullet is sitting in bathroom all alone. A lot of teams will utilize a Mira, but Mira got banned out, so she's not going to be brought at all. This means that it's going to be a little bit harder for Immortals to be able to hold off INTZ. Even though the time is definitely working in favor, but Bullet still has at least 2 batteries, and both walls will be saved. Bullet with some great use of those bandit batteries. No real worry about the EMP.
Yeah, there's no EMPs in play, which means INTZ now are stuck in a bottleneck. As Uke goes down, that's one of the potential bottle openers eliminated. Intact will get PX, though. M-King's going to refrag, and Uke gets picked up. Drunks will also take down M-King, so we see Immortals starting to lose a little bit of ground. INTZ are still in this. Duds eliminates Navi. Cyber gonna get one, though, on the vault. No, it's Bullet to get that kill, in fact. And another one for Bullet. Cyber would have killed Duds, now the last alive in a 1 versus 1. He doesn't have time. Oh, no, the goo trap is going to deny the push there from Zofia. And a heartbreak of a round there for INTZ. They almost had it. Such excellent bandit tricking from Bullet, and then followed up by some excellent refrags in the end of that round to allow for a time-based victory for the defense.
Really impressive round from Immortals, at which seemed like a lot of things were not going in their favor at all. The bandit tricking was very successful, and with Bullet falling back when he did, putting himself in harm's way with the sledge on the gym window, I think was the correct call to make. You go into the bathroom, you have the opportunity to shut down the thermite if you've been counting EMPs, which every team is going to do. You know that, barring another operator being on the board that might have been 6-picked that you didn't notice, your bandit is going to be safe to play in there. Even though the position of Bullet was known earlier on, which is why you saw the Zofia start to head towards the bathroom, the B mine ultimately slowed them down. Very similar to kids' dorms, when you know that there's very limited hard destruction or soft destruction done, where are the attackers going to come from? A couple avenues. That's exactly what happened with INTZ. They had to go through choke points. You just pre-fire. You walk away with wins on each of those fights. And it was 3 kills from Immortals in the span of a 1.5 seconds. That swung the tide, setting up the bandit inside a bathroom to be in a 1v1.
To me, that round entirely comes down to Bullet. It was through and through Bullet bandit tricking. That's the end of the story. In my mind.
That's the analysis, right?
Yeah, no, that's the analysis you're going to get.
That's all you get.
He bandit tricked 1 wall, 2 minutes.
Yep.
2 whole minutes, and then he denied a 2nd wall that would have given in such traction in that round. But not because not so, and why? Because Bullet was there. So, good job to Bullet, bandit tricking. He's been doing it a lot this match, and he's been doing great. Navi's going to get a very early pick onto Drunks, and so there goes almost all of your soft destruction. Bye-bye. Well, that's about as bad of a start as you can get if you're INTZ. And looks like we have a tied match. I know you might think that I'm calling it too early, but getting rid of a buck on a basement defense of Clubhouse is absolutely huge. So Good job there to Immortals, and specifically Navis.
So I suppose this is really lending quite a bit of credibility to the fact that Clubhouse for these two teams still tends to be very heavily favored towards the defense. Immortals have now matched their attacking win total on defense in just 3 rounds.
So if INTZ wins, okay, if INTZ wins one more attack win, and then we see Immortals win the rest of the rounds, then we'll see the same as every other match so far today, which is 2 attacker victories per half. Period.
Draw City.
It's Draw City, you guys. I was gonna make a bad joke. That doesn't really even work. Doesn't make any sense. Immortals, so far, playing this round to perfection, and why they haven't given away a single pick. They also got a little early cheeky pick on the main stairs. So it's a win right now for Immortals. Come on, Navis, you know how to break that glass. I believe in you.
He's not going to do it.
He's not going to do it, no. I mean, it probably wouldn't matter, but still.
Navis could possibly get aggressive, though, whether he sets the ADS down or not, as you've got the Thermite board just waiting at the church wall. They'll need to clear out those bandit charges, and there you go. Or rather, that Kaid Electroclaws. There's no bandit on the board.
Oh, an impact there.
Great impact trick. Keep in mind, the reason why Immortals lost this round was because of a good pick onto PX on the other side of the church wall. And everything else just fell into place. The longer that that Kaid stays alive, the longer that that church wall stays intact, the better that this works out in terms of time management for the defenders. And already finding themselves a step behind as INTZ will now need to work against a clock. It's getting very, very close to 0. Unbeknownst to the rest of the team, Yuke is in, tries to go for a snap, won't land it. He's felled by 2 separate operators. The Legion getting in on this, and it's a full collapse from Immortals. No pulse in the body right now from INTZ. They'll be able to pick up 1. Oh, 2! Is this winnable? No! Felled is intact, and Duds might be able to pick up a kill, but it's not going anywhere. 2 members of Immortals stay alive to round out that round. And it's a tie game.
So here's my forecast. Ready?
Yes.
1 more attacking win from INTZ. They're going to get a rally. They're going to get some excellent execution. And then Immortals is going to draw it. It's Draw City. I'm seeing the draw. I can see it coming. It's happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe Immortals wins every single one of their defenses here. They were really good when they went to cash. It was, in fact, the first round that Immortals managed to win, their cash defense. And why? They had a firm grasp on that garage. Last round, just to backtrack a little bit here, I guess I kind of skipped over it. The last round, we saw INTZ unable to open up that church wall. And why? Because PX was there with the impact tricking and the Kaid. It was meant to be. You can't say that. The Kaid electroclawing on the church wall. And since he got that exothermic charge, church wall stayed intact, and it was a really easy hold on the bottleneck for Immortals. And that's the Moto door being the bottleneck, of course. Not much of a change from INTZ. As soon as they kind of came up against that wall, quite literally, they didn't adapt. And that is, I think, what really cost them the round. The last time, again, that INTZ was here, they, well, didn't adapt. And why? It was because they were unable to open up that server wall. Why didn't they? Because Bullet bandit tricked so very well. The denial from Immortals on defense has been, I think, the star of the show. Not only on the hands of PX, but also, I think, much more Bullet.
Bullet's contributions have just been very well documented because of good camera work, first and foremost. We've actually seen a lot of what he's done, which is difficult to do for supporting roles.
Today, the camera work has been impeccable, I have to say.
And it's been doing a great job of catching a lot of the little things that players who aren't necessarily racking up the kills are doing, right? Yeah. We mentioned Intact doing that as the smoke in that very first round that we saw, and now we're looking at something similar, except this time it's on Bullet's play. He has been able to do great work. It wasn't on the bandit last round. It was just the Kaid working on possible hard breach denial. This time around, it's going to be Bullet back on the bandit.
Well, we'll see if Bullet can pull another fast one on that bandit tricking. It's not easy to do. Navis maybe looking for C4 from this drop. It's possible. Maybe he has a camera on the roof and a teammate calling it out for him. Good information here from the Evil Eyes. You can see M King has full control of his surroundings with just 2 cameras, and he's going to be able to maintain control over Garage as long as he plays his cards right. You could go for a surprise Bolt in there, but it's unlikely to happen. From below, Duds is going to try and deny the bandit tricking. Bullet, though, will persist as Duds is eliminated by Cyber. That's great teamwork there from Cyber, and it actually looks to have been through the wall. So that's a wall bang and a half for the Jaeger that just salvaged the potential denial here for Bullet, but Drunks is in a nade position, and he lands it. Bolt goes down, and the wall is open. Great coordination there between Boar and Drunks.
The star of Immortals won't shine so brightly for the remainder of this round, and as the wall gets opened up, this is going to be a breath of fresh air for INTZ. We're looking to stop the bleeding. They've lost 3 rounds in a row to Immortals, only taking their very first attack on Church. They've still got tools to flush anybody from Immortals that are playing in the rafters of Garage out, especially with the Capitao on the board. It is fixating bolts in his crossbow that can be used at any point. This is still going to endeavor to get some good drone work down, as now Drunks will try to take control of the bottom of Garage. You see a drone get shot from above, so you know that somebody's playing up there. It might not be known to INTZ that there's actually 2, and this could go from bad to worse for INTZ if they don't play this well. It's exactly what happens. The airmail connects, though, so Cyber will be there to answer it, but you still got Drunks, who will be entrenched by the window of Garage, watching down to the main door. Anybody who decides to walk on in will have to tread carefully. I don't think INTZ is aware of the position of the Maestro, as he hasn't been moved at all. Can't connect exactly with the Thatcher, and almost losing the fight. That would have gone bad for Immortals if they weren't able to take this one off, but a flick on the board will not connect. The Thermite walking away with a tiny bit of HP. You've got Navi's anchoring down on the red stairs, along with the smoke of PX playing in. Perfect shotgun blast to the chest of Yuke, and Immortals will now find themselves in their very first lead of the game. With 6 rounds and 4 unanswered rounds on defense will give Immortals at least 1 point. They'll look to close it out here as we go to our final round with IMT on match point.
So it's the moment of truth now. Will we see the draw or the win for Immortals? If it's a draw, it'll be, well, quite spectacular. We'll see 6 wins, 6 draws for Immortals in this season so far. If it's a win, then Immortals will put themselves so far ahead of their competition that FaZe are going to have to work miracles to catch up if they want that first spot. We'll see. It's going to be Jim as the very last round for this match. Now, last time we were on Jim, what was it? Oh, yes, it was Bullet again with the amazing bandit tricking, able to take out 1 exothermic charge, then deny for 2 whole minutes on the jacuzzi wall. Follows that up with denying outright the bathroom wall and getting the 2nd exothermic charge. We'll see if it can happen again. And it actually wasn't. No, he didn't take out the first exothermic charge. The first exothermic charge detonated, so small correction there. Either which way about it, though, Bullet delayed for a long time, and he finally denied that wall, which allowed Immortals to hold the bottlenecks on either side or bathroom. That's the doorway into B in the main hall. Because the glass was downed on the entry into main hall, there was no way to really work around those bottlenecks, and, well, INTZ couldn't make anything happen. It was a nice try from Yuke, though, all the same. This time, Yuke has adjusted. He is no longer playing glass. He is now on the Blitz.
A Blitz being brought out at your 11th hour.
Yep, I mean...
Active desperation, maybe.
Yeah, no, certainly. It's a little bit more potent, I think, for this site. Less long angles for the glass to play. Like, imagine you're playing glass and you're going to have to push into the hallway. You've got to deal with main stairs, office, and the door to site. Too many angles. May as well bring a Blitz. Address what they throw at you 1 step at a time.
A lot of this is going to rest in the hands of the ability of INTZ to shake off any active tricking that happens from Bullet. Also, as much as we gave credit to Bullet for that previous victory on this site, you got to give a nod to Cyber. Those goo mines just to slow down the advance of not just the glass who'd been felled, if you recall correctly, when Yuke was on that glass pushing into the jacuzzi wall, but also the Zofia who was trying to come in through construction. Back at it is going to be Bullet. Boar looks to try to get the exothermic charge down. Say goodbye to the deployable shield, and Bullet is extremely exposed. He'll vacate the wall, and depending on how many EMPs Intact has left, wasn't counting, this should be...
I think it was just 1 he used.
In that case, there should be an opportunity now for Bullet to maybe grab the remaining exothermic charge, as INTZ has successful entry through jacuzzi wall. 3 shock wires in hand for the Bandit of Bullet, but 2 members of Immortals have taken quite a beating.
That's 2 at least EMPs we just heard there detonated by the Thatcher, and it didn't seem like that second EMP got any bandit batteries, so there should be a really easy bandit trick here for Bullet if he plays his cards right.
Yuka's intel on 2 separate operators playing at the back of bathroom, and it looks like with the bandit moving over towards the kitchen panels that it'll be an easy entry for INTZ into the bathroom as well. So all of this ground can be taken up, depending on what happens with Boar, that is.
A little bit of trepidation on the sides of INTZ, but they are going to get M-King on the initial entry, so that's a really important pick there on the Jaeger. Only 50 seconds left here for the attack, but they are actually going to get the bathroom open. I have no idea why Bullet fell off that, but he did. Must have been nade pressure from above the wall. Either which way, that's bathroom, and a second kill for Intact. Yuka's gonna go for a rush, and Boar is on the entry into B. He could potentially plant. Cyber gets one with his actual goo mine. That's amazing. Intact, though, his 3rd kill in this round. He has all of his team's frags, and he has been holding it together for INTZ. Navi's trying to retake. He'll be pushing into office, and he's gonna take down 1. That's duds. It's just PX Navis who have to regain site control. As the plant goes down, though, it's gonna be on a timer here for the defense. Navis, though, manages to cross and finishes off Intact. No more kills for him, though goes down in response thanks to Boar. Lit up Boar, though. PX could win this as he takes down Boar. Finally, it's a 1 versus 1 against Drunks. Positions both known. 1 on island, 1 outside of bathroom. This is perfect position for Drunks to hold the post plant, but an excellent kit here on the side of smoke. If he plays his shotgun blast right, it could be an easy one-piece tap. The long distance engagement here is going to favor Drunks ever so slightly. Lots of damage being dished both ways. Who's it going to be? Who will have the moment of opportunity? It's going to be very close. Not nearly enough time, and Drunks clutches it. INTZ with a draw. No win for Immortals, and that's going to be 6 wins, 6 draws for Immortals in this season, and an unauspicious end here to this match for the Immortals.
It's a good showing from INTZ through the second half of the season. Picked up 8 points now through their 5 matches, which is a heck of a lot better than that first half of the season, and